9:37 Central African Time. You're still tuned into News and Views with myself, Salai Loma Kudere. And we're going to be shifting gears now. We'll be having our hashtag heard on a feature. This is part of the show where we reflect on some of the wonderful conversations that you probably missed on our great lineup of shows. And last night on Local Matters with Ahmed Kaji, there was a really wonderful conversation with Ntsiki Mazwai. She's raised her hand as a representative of the Land Party to be a Johannesburg mayoral candidate. Yes, and Ntsiki Mazwai feels and thinks that she can run Johannesburg. And she joined Ahmed Kaji in studio last night to lay out her plans and what she thinks and feels that she can do for the city of Johannesburg, which is facing all kinds of issues. So if you miss Local Matters with Ahmed Kaji, well, it's on every Tuesday from 7 until 9 p.m. And it focuses primarily on local government issues as we head over to the local government elections later on this year. So here's that conversation if you missed it. And if you want to hear the rest of it, head over to our Spotify channels. Just search at Salam Media and you'll be able to listen to it live. Otherwise, take a listen.
And as we said earlier on, it just keeps increasing. The unemployment rate keeps increasing, which means that we have to focus on investing in entrepreneurship and creatives. People often undermine how lucrative the creative industry is. I mean, with just one artist, there's so many economies around that, whether it's the fashion or the radio, not the radio, the studio time or the performance. There's a lot of people feeding off just one artistic brand. So we need to actually realize that we can have economies that are centered around the entertainment industry. When you look at America, a huge bulk of their economy is based on the entertainment industry. And that is our strength as Africans, is that we are creative. So when we speak about a 24 economy, I mean, obviously everything is always related and connected. It also speaks to us having to make sure that we have a safe Joburg. The reason we don't have 24 hours is because we know we have to run home quickly before the thugs come out. So it speaks to us having to beef up our security. JMPD is going to have to work a bit harder. We're going to have to invest in technology that looks after the city, that drones, cameras. We have to invest in our technology. That's why it's also so important that people are documented, because when you look at other more developed countries, for instance, you can walk into a shop and a camera picks you up and already has your social security number, your address, who you are, male, female. So we have to start imagining a Johannesburg that is on par with other world cities, because we are a world city, we can be on the same level. So the 24-hour economy speaks to more employment. It speaks to Johannesburg being more productive, therefore earning more money. It speaks to our nighttime economy, whether be it clubs or restaurants or actually just any kind of business that can operate at night. So the more there's business, once again, the more employment there is, once again, there's more productivity, more money for the city. I think a time has come where we just have to focus on making money, much like in the Chinese Revolution, when they had to opened up and reformed their economy and introduced more capitalism. We have entered that era, because we are actually getting left behind, and we actually do have to admit that we do need the rest of the world. So we do need to open up. But what is imperative is that we always have to make sure that there is more priority given to our local citizens. We cannot, that's very, very important. So it's just about the 24-hour economy is about being more productive, making more money, making Joburg wealthier.
I mean, you've spoken about all of this comprehensively about, keeping places open, ensuring that we'll invest in technology. JMPD will need to work harder. You've made reference to the China model as well. What came from China was a whole lot of funding from government and private sector. You've spoken about foreign investment. Do you think all of these objectives can be reached solely with foreign investment?
I think that Not solely. I mean, obviously that's not realistic. But we are paying rates. We can collect some kind of revenue from the people. As we've seen, the Department of Treasury has been able to fund our government all these years. So when we integrate government and public and private investment, it is realistic. Leadership is about vision and being brave to imagine something else and leading people into a new world. So we actually have to believe in ourselves. We have to believe that it's possible. We can't we can't keep the status quo. Right now where we are with our governance model, it's not working. So we need to try new things, whether we like it or not, really.
Going to move things along. We've spoken about employment, the economy, but you've touched earlier on around foreign nationals and their place in the city. You've spoken about a 90% South African employment and a 10% foreign national employment. That may have raised some questions by some sectors of society.
Of course. You know what? We have to prioritize South Africans. Like I was saying to you earlier on, it's not people are not marching because they feel like it or it's just for fun. People are genuinely upset, people are genuinely aggrieved, people are unemployed, and the only way that we can make sure that our people are happy is to reserve their jobs, so the Land Party does advocate for 90% local employment, and we're going to have incentives for businesses that employ 90% locals and punitive measures for businesses that do not comply. We don't have a choice at the moment. There's going to be disruptive business if we continue like this, and the aim is for us to move into something more productive that can work for everybody. So I don't think we should be shy about prioritizing ourselves. Even other nations and other countries, they also prioritize themselves. And I don't think that South Africans ought to tolerate the criminality of being undocumented. That's a national security issue. We do have to beef up our borders. We do have to make sure if me and you have to be documented, then everybody must, even when you're from another country, you just can't come here and do as you please, which is what the South Africans are crying about. We do have to hear the cries of our people. What we do not want to tolerate is the abuse of other people's human dignity. And the abuse of people taking the law into their own hands. We've got a government and law enforcement agencies who are deployed to do the work that, say, March on March is doing. That's not March on March's business to do that. It's not for civil society to go and ask people for their documentation. It's not in your place, and that's an abuse of people. It's not in your place. to be screaming abahambe and beating up people. So we are for human dignity. It's not the what so much, it's the how. So part of the how is preserving people's jobs, reserving jobs for locals.
I mean, the discourse in society at the moment is whether xenophobia and Afrophobia has a place in South African society. With March in March, we have seen some of that.
It's been ugly.
Yeah, some of the discourse coming around as well. Do you think at any point in time someone may look at a 90%, 10% split as something that could perhaps spark further Afrophobia and xenophobia around whether documented or undocumented foreign nationals should be working in South African businesses, especially with the 90%, which is a large chunk of...
well, and firstly, undocumented, there's no place for anybody who's undocumented in South Africa. Absolutely not. However, we do need to address the cries of the people and address that South Africans are not happy. That's why we need to focus on small business development so that we create more jobs, so people are not fighting for the jobs at the bottom, for the low-hanging fruits. I mean, I obviously agree with you, especially this is a humanitarian station. The world is everybody's world, you know, everybody should benefit from the world. However, the reality is that there are borders, although they were created in Berlin, but there are borders and people do look after their own citizens in other countries. And we should also have the responsibility as a government to look after our own citizens first.
I'm going to bring it back to a bit of finances now in terms of, I mean, we have 80 billion rand budget here in the city of Joburg. Probably more, probably less at times, but we have a massive budget that you work with. Coming from your background, how would you manage that? From a social commentator, author, poet point of view,
well,
the arts and maths sometimes.
Well, also the fact that I'm a person who lives in a house who has to run their own economy, and I haven't been wealthy, so I do understand how to budget so that you actually make it. But as I said to you before, people must rest assured that I've got teams behind me, people who are educated in finance, people who know better. It's not like I'm completely dumb also, because I have studied a bit, thankfully. But I think that people should relax. The administrative part of being a mayor is taken care of. There's the real mayor, who is the city manager. That's the person who controls all those things. But for me, it's just about how we prioritize the budget, which I think that that shouldn't be a problem. It's about accountability for me. It's about my communication and how I make all the departments work well together. So I think people should just be at ease about this mayoral role and the budgets and everything. There's CFOs, guys. There are teams in finance who are going to handle the nitty-gritties. I don't need to be the one who's doing the auditing myself, you know? So I think people should relax. I think that my job is to create a synergy in that City of Joburg office that is going to create the best results for the entire city.
Moving towards coalitions, the City of Joburg has been going through a whole lot of coalitions over the last
which is
10 years,
part of the problem, right? The fact that we haven't had a stable mayor for a long time so that we can actually measure results. All the infighting and the greed and the political. So we have to think. I personally feel that everybody must just vote for land, because we need an outright majority so that there's no having to share and then you take this part, because that is what creates corruption. When you break up the pie and people start thinking about themselves and their self-interest, that's the problem. So I'm not so keen on coalitions, and I'm hoping that, I mean, as much as I'm David, I'm hoping that some miracle can happen. But I mean, otherwise, the reality is that I will have to work with everybody. I think as a mayor of Joburg, it's not just about the land party. It's about what strengths other parties can also bring to you. It's not like EFF doesn't have people that have got strengths that I can draw from. It's not like Action SA or even DA has got people that I can draw from. So I think that my ability to work as a team player is what's most important, more important than anything else.
I'm going to keep with the coalition question, because that's where the City of Joburg has been for the last 10 years or so. And there's been multiple changes in mayors and city managers and speakers of the council and
so
on and so
disruptive.
forth. would you enter would the land party enter a coalition? And I'm going to follow this up with a yes or no, right? I'm going to just list through a couple political parties, and we're going to go with yes or no, and then we can elaborate in a bit. Right?
So personally at the land party, it's a no for us.
Across the board.
We don't want coalitions because that is how corruption manifests itself. We want an outright majority.
If you don't make the majority as a minority party, would you then join?
Well, we have no choice then. It's only when we have no choice that, okay, obviously we would have to, because it is teamwork and governance is about working together collectively to ensure that the citizens are taken care of. But if it were up to us, we don't want coalition.
Well, should you reach a point and you are a minority and you needed to enter into a coalition, where are we with? Would you work with the ANC?
Okay. The thing is that I feel as if breaking up the pie is really detrimental for the people, because everybody represents such different interests. And when we break it up, then only that interest is sorted out. When you work with the ANC, I mean, that's just working with the black elite. When you work with the DA, then you must know that everything's going to be privatized and all the resources, the wealth of the land is going to get out of the country. So for me, ideally, if there is any form of government of national unity, I think that everybody should be represented. So that we can all hold each other accountable and call each other to order, but not factions. I really think that the factions are exactly what's breaking up our city.
I'm assuming that you're going to be running away from the specific political party answers, which I'm going to let you off easy on this one. So
no, you can. You can. No, go for it. It's fine.
How are we looking on the Democratic Alliance? Is there someone you'd form a coalition with?
Or
enter a coalition with?
As I said, we won't specifically enter coalitions, but if we had to work with everybody, can I rather answer what strengths I would take from each party? Is that fine with you?
How about we bring it to this, right?
Okay.
What are some of the red lines if you were in coalition negotiations, which you'd say, look, if this is on the table, not happening for us?
Okay, DA has to learn to look after poor people. DA has a tendency to just sort out big business, which is actually foreigners because it's Europeans. So it doesn't prioritize Africans. It doesn't prioritize poor people. So for me, for us, if we had to make that difficult decision, man, that's a very difficult decision. It has to be in black and white that there's going to be a focus on injecting the foreign investment into downtrodden communities and not just about taking the wealth of the land. So for DA, that's how we feel. For ANC, I mean, when we look at BE has only benefited the black elite who are connected to each other. So also that has got to go. It has to be broader based. It has to actually really affect people on the ground. It really has to. It has to be about everyone. I mean, when you look at the land and the expropriation and who's gotten the land, it's the elite black families and ANC who've benefited from that. It hasn't been people in townships. It hasn't been the working class. So those are the two big ones. I suppose you want to know about EFF as well. So with EFF, I mean, although we are both quite left aligned, EFF has to learn to stop talking left and walking right. So we've got a distrust with EFF in that they say they're working for the poor, but their leaders, we see them in like fashion labels and drinking expensive alcohol. So yeah, it's that credibility issue with the EFF. So they would have to really believe and do what they say they're going to do. I can't really speak on Action SA because they're also relatively new. So we're still watching them, but we would work with Action SA. It's just that Action SA is a DA light. So I hope I'm not being too honest here. I'm just looking at your face.
No. This is for our listeners, right? And for our audience. If that's the sentiment that you share, I think it's important for our audience to kind of get that understanding as well.
So, and then the Patriotic Alliance, I think that it's important for colored people to have a voice. So I do encourage participation and working with Patriotic Alliance. It's just that whole gangsterism thing that is like the ex-convict, not gangsterism, well, both. And the ex-convict stuff is stuff that is like gray area-ish. Yeah, willing to work with everyone. I don't want to offend anyone and like wake up to a media roar tomorrow, but yeah, those are the red flags that we see in those parties. I mean, we work with PAC. It's just that the PAC also is kind of not standing up for what it used to say it stood for. So, I mean, that's why I say that everybody's got different weaknesses, different strengths. If I look at the positives, what they can bring positively, because now I've looked at their negatives. I think that the DA, we do need the foreign investment from their cousins in Europe, definitely. And you also find that the DA, because nothing was given back, you know, unlike the Holocaust where the Jews still get repatriations and reparations, that has never happened in South Africa where the people who hoarded the economy gave anything back. So the DA has that opportunity to now share the resources. ANC,